Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to have you all join me here today. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from, and welcome to the January. And we are delighted to have you join us. My name is Zino, and I'll be your host in today's webinar. And today we will be discussing innovative ways to achieve sustainable learning experiences in the classroom. And so in our last webinar in November, we discussed the integration of STEM in education policy and curriculum development. And so in this webinar, we will be narrowing down on how educators can achieve sustainable learning experiences for each child in a classroom through innovative means. So before I go on, please tell me your name, tell us your organization, what you intend to learn at the webinar today, and what are the conversations that you're looking forward to listening to, and what are the speakers you're most excited to listen to hear speak to you about education policies in Nigeria and Africa. And so please just leave your comments, drop it in the comment section, and we'll have an exciting time today. So my job this morning will be to briefly introduce a nice community. I hope you're all leaving your comments in the comment section. Please, it's for you, utilize it right now. Also, if it's possible, you can drop your favorite emojis. Let's get the chat box rolling. Okay, so my job this morning will also be to introduce the NICE community. NICE stands for National Innovative Collaborative for Education. So NICE is a community of education innovators that is committed to increasing awareness to quality education for all children. And this is created by TEP Center. So NICE currently engages the following channels, which includes our monthly newsletter. We have a newsletter that is power-packed with innovative conversations, innovative solutions that addresses some of the problems that we face in the education sector. And if you are not on that newsletter, I'll be leaving directions for how to get started with us. And we also have our podcast, which is the Education Unscripted. Education Unscripted is an insightful podcast series that we host at TEP Center. And we also have our virtual and in-person meetup. So the Innovation Webinar Series, like today's event, this webinar series would be exploring themes. Our innovative webinar series will continue to explore themes which highlight, as highlighted in the previous editions of the NEDIS. So to collaborate with us on these webinars, please send us an email to nice@tepcenter.com. Again, if you would like to collaborate with us, if you like to be join the conversation, to be a partner and join the conversations that we have at the TEP Center, please send us an email at nice@tepcenter.com. So if you are interested, you find the email in the chat box. So we also have our EdMeets. And EdMeets is a bridge builder event, which we have designed to provide a platform for education and other sectors. So when you think education, how can we collaborate with other sectors to solve the recurring problems in the sector, and also see how we can synergize to collaborate to solve complex problems and strengthen access to quality education using these platforms. That is why we have created EdMeet. So the previous editions of EdMeet that we have had includes EdMeet Tech, and where we've had conversations about how we can explore technology and innovative solutions in the education sector. We've also had EdMeet foundational learning. And we've also had, in 2024, we will be having our future EdMeets, which is EdMeets Climate Change. So I'm really excited about the tune that this conversation shall be taking in the year 2024. And we hope that you will collaborate with us and then join our community so that you are updated when these programs begin to roll out. So our NICE community is also an outcome of the annual Education Summit, Innovation Summit, NEDIS. NEDIS was organized and hosted by the Education Partnership Center, which is also TEP Center. And NEDIS was established in 2016. NEDIS is a budding community that facilitates continuous learning and collaboration. So for the 7th edition of the NEDIS, which was held in October 2022, it was themed Reimagining Education Development in Africa, Bridging the Skills Gap. So the summit focused on how to recalibrate education innovation and development to ensure that all children and young people are fully equipped to thrive in life and contribute meaningfully to society. So the recent events, from the pandemic to insecurity, we can also see adverse effects in our society, just like we see with climate change. This events continue to show us that not all children have the opportunity to pass through the traditional classroom. So how do we ensure that everyone is represented? How do we ensure that we are having inclusive learning options for individuals that are marginalized by natural causes, by economic causes? So how can we ensure that these individuals, these children still gain access to quality education in spite of all of these challenges? And that is why we have put together the NEDIS, and we are also going to be having the 8th edition of NEDIS Education Innovation Summit in the year 2024. And this summit would focus on sustainability and education innovation. To get more information about our NEDIS Education Innovation Summit, please do not forget to join our mailing list, stay updated on this event. These are events that we are super excited about at TEP Center, and we can't wait to roll out these solutions over time. So to be a part of this to join the exciting train, and to join your voice, to collaborate with us, to speak on these recurring issues in the education sector, you can collaborate with us again. As I have said, you would find the email in the chat box. Please send us a message at nines@tepcenter.com. Again, I'll repeat, nines@tepcenter.com. So I have spoken about our NEDIS Innovation Summit, which is our 8th edition, will be coming up anytime soon in the year, and we are super excited and would like to have you on board with that. I've also spoken about our Ed Meets, which we've had Ed Meets Tech. We've had conversations on Ed Meets Foundational Learning, and this year we will be speaking, having conversations, solid conversations, and changing the narratives and building policies around Ed Meets climate change. So also, I've also spoken about NICE, which is our monthly newsletter, which is created to our community, that speaks to all of our programs. If you want to find all of our events, all of our programs and collaborations opportunities, you should join the NICE community. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator, Mofin. Mofin is our senior program assistant, and she is part of the brilliant minds that has put together this webinar. And if you like what you see, please leave a thumbs up in the comment section. Let's get Mofin on as she comes on to lead us into the panel section. Mofin, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zino, for that introduction. It was very profound. Welcome everyone again. And today we'll be having a beautiful lineup of speakers with a wealth of knowledge and expertise in today's webinar topic. So let's just dive in. We have Ms. Eliane El Haba, who is a young woman from Lebanon. Her educational background is in management and psychology. She is an associate project officer at UNESCO IOSAC in the Partnership and UN Liaison Unit, a coalition for the UN Unique Project Lead, a higher education for good ambassador, and an advisor at the UNESCO Institute for Youth and Student Network. You're welcome, Ms. Eliane. We have Mrs. Lydia Onuoha, who has 32 years of experience in the Nigerian education sector, with 17 years classroom experience and 15 years in international development, implementing partnership programs and advocacy. And rising to a Deputy Director of Education at Lagos State Ministry of Education with administrative and academic oversight. She currently serves as the Senior Associate Education Technical Support in American University of Nigeria. As the Deputy Chief of Staff on the USAID-funded Leveraging Education Associate Resources LEARN project, she provides technical direction and guidance to team members, providing technical assistance to 8 states in Nigeria. In this capacity, she coordinated the approval process and got the signature of approval from the Minister of Education on the National Reading Framework for Nigeria. As the Deputy Chief of Staff on the USAID-funded Northern Education Initiative project, Lydia has led the diversity of 108 staff to improve learning outcomes in conflict-ridden Northeast states in Nigeria, significantly improving learning outcomes in over 2,700 schools in Nigeria, supporting the SDG 4 goal. She successfully managed and closed out the USAID NEI Plus $82 million project in Nigeria. You are welcome, Mrs. Onowaha. And finally, Ms. Esther Onyeku, who is a graduate in educational psychology, guidance and counseling from the University of Port Harcourt. She furthered her education with a master's in special education from the University of Ibadan. Her profound passion for teaching is rooted in the belief that shaping a child's foundation at the grassroots level is paramount to their future success. Esther serves as a dedicated advocate for the girl child, emphasizing the importance of empowering young minds. Her academic journey has equipped her with a deep understanding of educational psychology and counseling, allowing her to contribute meaningfully to the development of quality learning experiences. Esther's commitment extends beyond the classroom as she strongly believes in children as the leaders of tomorrow, emphasizing the need for holistic education to nurture their leadership potential. With a dynamic blend of expertise and advocacy, Esther Onyeku continues to make impactful strides in the field of education, driven by her unwavering belief in the transformative power of quality education for every child. Let's welcome our speakers to the panel discussion. Today we're going to be having a packed session, and I'm excited because I know it's going to be an interactive session. Please drop your questions in the chat box and we'll deal with them as we move on. Okay, to the panel discussion proper. Ms. Eliane, please can you let us know how do we transform learning plans to learning experiences? How do you believe you can transform the learning plans, curriculum to learning experiences?
Yes, sure. First, let me thank you for having me here and welcome everyone who's joining us. Let's start with this. The first thing is that we need to shift the whole learning process to be student-centered. And then from there are some actions to take. Let's start with connecting whatever we are studying at school with life. So actually, students can take that whatever they're learning at school and make it a life experience and actually benefit from it and feel that it's real for them and it's something tangible. Because if it's not done this way, they will never understand why they're studying this. So aligning the learning objectives with the real life context is highly important. And then another thing is promoting active learning. And by this, again, we go back to the student-centered thing. Students should not be just sitting in class and listening to someone who's telling them information. Of course, the teacher has information to share and has a big role to have in class, but at the same time, they need to be active in class and they need to be thinking and debating and discussing information and maybe sometimes criticizing or agreeing or disagreeing. And that will make it more relatable to their life. Another thing can be integrating technology. I know maybe we're going to talk about this more during this session. But like one thing to highlight, integrating technology can help them have access to more resources and can help maybe in whatever is related to virtual reality or augmented reality to see things and experience things in a more interactive way. But that doesn't mean that like by just introducing technology to class and using an iPad or a laptop or whatever instead of the casual things, then this will make it a lifetime learning experience. There are things that should be done while using these devices. The last thing I can suggest, it's actually, again, to make it more related to real life, then the learning experience can include field trips or engagement with speakers or anything that allow the students to interact with the real life, maybe community engagement opportunities, community services, and such things. And last thing is actually whatever method we used to use to assess the performance of students in the traditional ways, it cannot be applicable when we try to shift the whole mechanism and the whole curriculum we just talked about. So there's a need as well to change the assessment methods to include other ways of assessing their studies and their knowledge in terms of like maybe public speaking, portfolios, presentations, or anything like that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eliani. I got a few points from you. You mentioned it should be student-centered, it should be related to real life. Basically, there should be different ways in which they can access the students so that it's not just completing the curriculum. They're not just completing learning plans, but these children actually have sustainable learning experiences they can take in a long life term. Please, Mrs. Onoha, please can you expound on that, how you can transform lesson plans rather to learning experiences?
Thank you so much, Mofi. Please confirm if you can hear me. I want to be sure I'm audible enough.
You can proceed.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you and your team for putting this together. I'm also reaching out to fellow panelists, Elena, that has just finished listing how teachers can actually transform learning plans to learning experiences. In addition to what Elena has said, she has actually spoken my mind. I want to add to what she has said about making lessons child-centered. I totally agree with her. And in transforming learning plans to learning experiences, is important to see the child at the center of learning, which means that teachers would need to build in activities, interactive activities, making their lessons as interactive as possible so that children are active throughout the lesson. And in helping teachers to engage children in different activities during a lesson, adequate planning, it's important. In addition to that, teachers need to make provision for a variety of materials for the lesson, for each step of the lesson. It's also important that children are encouraged to work together and help each other, ensuring that all children are involved in activities and that children also participate in a variety of activities. That way, children will look up to lessons and lessons will never be boring to children. It's also important that teachers also get into engaging children with activities that have to make them think and use their knowledge, not just memorization and recall of facts, but ensuring that children are engrossed completely into activities during the lesson. That way, children will see these lessons as part of their daily living. Also, it's also important that teachers build on what children already know. No child is completely empty. If teachers understand that children, teachers need to build on the knowledge and skills children are coming with to the classroom, to the lesson, to what they already know, it makes learning, it makes internalization of new concepts easier for both the children and even for the teacher. It's also important that teachers also work with individual levels of ability of the children. It's not a one-size-fits system, but ensuring that teachers are tailor their lessons to the needs, different needs of the children in the classroom. And that's where adequate preparation comes in. It's also important that teachers make lessons fun. Learning through play fosters creativity and imagination. A lot of research has actually confirmed this, that when children learn in a fun way, learning becomes permanent, and it helps children to find pleasure and to also create and innovate the different things they learn in each of their subjects. And so play and opportunities to engage actively in learning strengthens students' creative powers. And so children, particularly at the early grades, need to be taught in a playful way, ensuring that there are activities that is fun to children. While children engage in these activities, children are actually learning and internalizing the lessons being taught. I think when all these are put together, definitely lesson plans will be transformed into learning experiences for children.
Thank you very much. I particularly resonate with the aspect of engaging the students with a variety of activities and not just to memorize or cram lessons just for the sake of exams, and making it fun so that it's something that sticks with them for life. And one of the things, or the tools we use for engaging the students in this way is by using technology. So, Miss Esther Oyeko, how do you think how sustainable do you think technology is to students' learning experiences compared to relationship building? What would you say is more sustainable, or how sustainable do you think technology will be in comparison with relationship building with the students?
Okay, thank you for having me. Please confirm if you can hear me, please.
Yes, please, you can. You can go ahead.
Okay. So we all know that technology enhances learning experience, right? We know technology helps in delivering our lessons effectively. But the thing is, it doesn't take the place of relationship building. Anyhow, regardless of how we want to see it, regardless of how good technology is, it doesn't take the place of relationship building, to be honest. Because personal relationships with teachers and pupils helps them to foster a supportive learning environment which addresses the social and emotional needs of these pupils. Okay, we agree that technology, provides access to diverse educational resources, interactive tools where these children can learn, but it still does not fill in that gap of this personal relationship a teacher should have with his or her learners. So I'll give an example. So recently in my class, by the way, I'm a primary 1 teacher at Talent My School. So recently in my class, I have a learner. We're doing an activity, high jump activity, outdoor high jump activity, and she was not really interacting with her peers. She was just on her own, doing things carefully, and I was wondering, I know she can be an introvert, but it was just different from the learner I used to know. And I asked her, is everything all right? She said, yes. Then after a while, she came to meet me and told me, Miss Esther, I have something to discuss with you. I was like, what is it? And I called her aside, and she opened her dress and showed me something like she has a medical condition. And I asked her, have you told your principal? She said yes, but they're not doing anything about it. Now imagine if I had not created this conducive environment, a very free environment where people can be free to discuss everything with me. Imagine if I was only focusing on the technology aspect of learning, because I believe that technology can help in the classroom, and I'm neglecting the fact that personal relationship with these children can go a long way in helping them build their skills, in helping them build a very supportive environment where they can learn, where they can be comfortable. Okay, imagine a people who is not emotionally stable in the classroom, and you are teaching this learner, and you think you are impacting in the life of this learner. You are teaching and teaching and teaching, and you realize that learning has not taken place. So I believe, in as much as technology enhances learning experience, there should be like a balance with the elements of personal relationships. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Esther. It almost feels like a debate between technology and, and relationship building to rich learning experiences for the children. But you're absolutely right. It's not one replace the other. Basically, it's technology can help to build sustainable learning experiences. And also in line with relationship building. But let's hear from Ms. Eliani on our perspective on this question.
Yes, thank you. It's actually, I don't think it's gonna be a debate. I think we all agree on one point here, because I've seen your reactions while Esther was speaking. So thank you, Esther, first. And I totally agree. It's a matter of balance between both, and we should not be comparing, and we should not be like choosing one or the other. And anyway, like technology is only a tool, just like I don't know how many years ago using the board was a tool, using books was a tool, like it was invented at some point in life, right? So right now it's technology and it's a tool, and there are the positive sides of using it. Maybe more, not maybe, more access to resources at the same time. Using Google is way easier than trying to find an information in 100 books, of course. And making maybe somehow the learning experience more interactive or more interesting at some point. Technology was there during COVID, and it was the way out. Otherwise, students wouldn't have been able to study. And here we can mention as well the gap where students couldn't be accessing digital learning and technology. Anyway, the bottom line is that it's just a tool, a way to keep doing the learning process, but we have to be aware that it's not to replace the teacher, nor the student-teacher relationship, nor the relationship between students themselves. And that's a task for the school and for the teachers and all the stakeholders related to this process. But yeah, it's not a this or that. It's both of them. It's the teacher and the students using that tool in their favor. And that's it. Thank you.
I completely agree. And in my research, I've also seen that teachers have used comic literature, and discovered best ways to teach students and strategies to motivate and engage students using this medium. I mean, comic literature, things that children do for fun. They've used it to enhance children's learning experiences. So I want to ask Mrs. Onoha, what strategies do you use or would you advise educators use to engage and motivate young learners in today's world?
Thank you so much, Mofi. So for teachers to really engage and motivate learners, their teaching skills comes into serious play here. And so teachers will need to begin to think about a teaching method that will really engage pupils. The first one that comes to mind as a teaching strategy is the gradual release method. The gradual release method is a I do, we do, you do strategy. And what does this mean? The I do, we do, you do model is versatile. It applies to different age groups and subjects and grades as well. It involves a 3-step process, which is modeling, number 1, scaffolding, number 2, independent practice, number 3. And the model also aligns well with various learning theories that we can find out there. So for each of these stages, I need to quickly expand on each of these stages. The I do, which is the modeling stage, is characterized by explicit instruction. The teacher demonstrates a new skill and ensures that children are paying attention, the children listens, the children observes as the teacher does or engages in the new skill. And the teacher ensures that the new skill is also broken down into simpler forms that children can quickly catch up with. And so the teacher demonstrates. That's the modeling stage. The next stage, which is the I do. The next stage is the we do. Both the teacher and the children do it together. This is the facilitation stage. So in this stage, students are supported to achieve the correct answer as they work collaboratively with each other or with their teacher. And as the teacher does practices this new skill with the children together collaboratively, the teacher also observes for the struggling ones. But then the teacher moves to the next stage, which is you do. At the you do stage, each child practices the new skill. This is the independent practice stage. So this time, the students put into practice what they have learned during the first 2 stages, during the modeling, the facilitation stage, and practice new skill independently, individually. This sometimes can take time, but then with advanced preparation and getting all materials, necessary materials available with the teacher in the classroom, this is really an enjoyable teaching method for teachers to use. It transcends all subjects and all grades as well as all ages. Another teaching technique that teachers should also give due consideration to is good questioning skills. The ability of a teacher to give questions to children, to question children, determines how the thinking ability of these children are developed. If teachers use open-ended questions all the time, it helps to reinvigorate learners' thinking ability. It makes them think and it helps them to draw out the facts before responding. But if a teacher engages in closed questions are questions that requires yes or no response. And so a teacher that is always asking yes or no questions will not really draw out deep the thoughts and intentions of the children, will not even be able to assess whether learning has actually taken place. And as the teacher gives questions to children, it's important that the teacher allows a wait time, 8 seconds wait time. Researchers have shown that when questions are asked and teacher allow 8-second wait time for the child to prepare quickly and be able to put thoughts together before responding, that helps children to give accurate answers and also to think deeply about their responses. Use of songs is also a great way to make lessons interesting. Use of songs that are relevant to the topic of the day or that is relevant to the objective of the lesson would help to draw the attention of children. Teachers who use songs at the beginning of their lessons give children something to expect each time they engage in lessons in the classroom. So I think these are some of the strategies that I have tried, and it's really awesome for us to try these wonderful strategies as well. Over.
In a case where, now this is to Miss Estelle Iko, in a place where all these strategies Mrs. Onoha has mentioned and outlined and explained very properly, what other strategies do you think to motivate a young learner who the teacher has implemented all this but is still yet unmotivated or uninterested in what the teacher has to pass across? Do you have any other strategies you think would motivate young learners in the lesson topic?
Okay, thank you. So I feel accommodating different learning styles in the classroom goes a long way. So a learner that has not been able to receive instruction and the teacher has done so many things, applied so many strategies, and it's still not working out. So it now boils down to the ability of this teacher to know the learning style of this learner. For example, we have the major three learning styles. We have visual, we have auditory, and we have the kinesthetic. Now, imagine if this learner that the teacher has been teaching is a kinesthetic learner, and the teacher has been using the normal visual and the auditory learning style for the people. There's no way this child will learn, because this is not the learning style of this child. This is not the learning style that this child can acquire instruction from. So I feel there's the ability for the teacher to be knowledgeable about the different learning styles. Now, the visual is that pupils learn by seeing. Auditory, they learn by hearing. Kinesthetics, they learn by doing. So students learn. In fact, I've done this in my classroom, and I can tell you boldly that the learning styles that works effectively in the classroom is the kinesthetic learning style. When they learn by doing, they are involved in the teaching and learning process. They are doing one thing or the other. They are not just repeat after me, repeat after me, repeat after me, what is. But if these pupils can be involved, they can learn by doing. For example, if you are teaching them soil, for instance, you're teaching them soil, and you're already telling them, okay, soil is the topmost layer of the earth and the rest. And they are not doing what a soil is. You're already telling them the types of soil. And these children are not practicalizing what is being taught. Now, they cannot assimilate. They can only cram, memorize, but they cannot assimilate. They cannot apply this and solve a problem in the country. So teaching them soil can also, there can also be a strategy for it. You can take them to a farm and they plant. Give them, this is how you plant a maize, this is how you plant a cassava. You just teach them. So in this way, they can solve problems. They can even fend for themselves. For example, if they are from a low-income community that they don't have maybe access to good food and they don't eat well, they can think for themselves that, okay, I learned soil in the classroom. I can use this and feed myself. I can use this and feed my family. I can make a living out of what I've learned in the classroom. So there's actually no point a teacher teaching a child and this child cannot apply what is being taught to a real life scenario. It's really do not work that way. But I feel that applying the different learning styles in the classroom can help a learner learn. And it boils down to the teacher being able to have the skills of the learning styles and teach these people in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Esther. I like the aspect of learning learning something in classroom and it transcending the classroom to the point where you can solve a problem in the country. It's actually very essential. I know there's a relationship between teaching strategy and learning style. It's almost like a love language. If you're speaking to someone in love language A and the love language is B, you're probably not getting through to that person. So even if there are strategies in which a teacher has to passing across a lesson, there's still the learning style the student has. So the teacher has to be aware of the different learning styles each student has in the classroom to pass across every lesson plan. It seems like a lot of work, but I mean, if we are supposed to shape the futures of these children, we are supposed to put in the work. So, and a sustainable learning environment basically assures every participant to have the access, support materials they need to be active learners, and opportunities for peer-to-peer learning are provided and are included in shaping the learning experience. So basically, how do we achieve a sustainable learning experience if these children are not being taught in sustainable learning environment? It's quite difficult. I mean, if you're teaching students in an uncompleted building or in an environment where there's insecurity, how do we achieve that, Ms. Eliane?
Yes, thank you. It's totally right. It's a hard thing to do. It's actually like it's hard to teach students things at school and then expect them to go and practice them in life, where let's say what they see in their communities is not similar to what we're talking about at school. Let's narrow it down a little bit, and let's talk, like, for example, about anything related to green education. I'm not saying that this is the only aspect of sustainability. I'm saying, like, just to take that as an example. If we're talking about, like, the ultimate solution is actually having green campuses or green schools, if we're talking about schools, and also curricula focusing on green education and teachers equipped to deliver these curriculum, and green communities where students go out of and see that in life and in the community. That's in a perfect scenario. But I just want to say here that the fact that if we can, in some context, achieving all this at the same time might not be feasible, because this requires a lot of work and a lot of funding and a lot of resources and investments and energy and time. And if in some contexts we weren't able to do that all at once, it's still worth it to start from where we can. I'm just saying that perfectly, it's covering all the components and all the stakeholders, and even trying to reach parents at some point who are part of the small community of these students, and try to align everything that these students are learning together. But when that is not feasible, that doesn't mean that we cannot teach sustainability or teach in a sustainable way. We need to start trying. It might take longer, like this ripple effect and the impact might take longer, but it's still feasible. Yeah, that's it. Over.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eliani. So I want to bring it down to the Nigerian context. Mrs. Onoaha, how do we achieve sustainable learning experiences in areas where the environment don't accommodate students to have these experiences?
Thank you so much. So when we talk about learning environment, a lot of areas comes to mind. One of the things that this got me thinking has to do with not just the physical environment where children learn, but also the state of mind of children while they are in whatever environment. So if you have the best of classrooms and the teacher bullies the children, the teacher engages in verbal abuse, emotional abuse of these children, that learning environment will not be conducive for children. So also, if children also learn in large classes, which is what we have in many of our schools in Nigeria, and if children learn under the tree, but then the teacher engages or establishes a positive learning environment, children would be able to pull through. I'm coming down to our context. A positive learning environment is one that is non-threatening. So when children are with their teachers and they feel relaxed, they feel they can discuss with their teachers, and they feel they can relate cordially with their teachers, children are free to express themselves, that learning environment becomes a positive learning environment that children can actually thrive. And so if teachers spend time to build trust, and if teachers make students feel valued, if teachers increase the self-esteem of children, make children feel safe and supported, children definitely will be able to learn in this kind of environment, even if it is an environment where the children are in large classes, an environment where children learn even under the tree. I'm going to talk a little bit about caning, flogging of children. So this is something teachers need to think deeply about, and school authorities also need to think deeply about. Children are not animals. And so using a cane to flog children amounts to physical abuse of children. And this physical abuse also affects their emotional state. And so when children are emotionally troubled, when children are emotionally abused, physically abused, children will not be able to be in the right frame of mind to learn. It inhibits learning. Children will learn not to learn in that kind of environment. So creating a conducive, non-threatening learning environment is very important. And that's where the use of praise comes in. Teachers should engage more in praising children, seeing the good in children, and encouraging even the struggling ones would help children to thrive, would help to create a positive learning environment. So I'm saying that the learning environment is just the physical classroom, but also what goes on in the physical classroom is also part of the learning environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, if you have questions, please send them in the chat box. We'll take them once we're done with the question, the discussion. I completely agree with you. Emotional safety is something that children need to feel when being in a classroom. You need to feel safe. And flogging is actually one of the things I remember I was flogged a couple of times and actually got used to being flogged because at the end of the day, I'm like, whatever you, well, if you flog me, I will not, it doesn't really change anything because I've already adapted to it until I took a personal decision then to learn. So it actually initiates, learning. And in the secondary school I also attended, I knew that they actually categorize students according to their academic abilities. So, Ms. Onyekwe, now, what effect does grouping the students by their academic ability have on their overall learning experiences? Because I know the way they were grouping students then, those that were very excellent, those that were average, and those that were actually doing bad were all put in their own classes. So, what effect does that have on learning experience? Miss Esther.
Okay, thank you very much. So we can say, we all know that effects can be both the positive effects and the negative effects. So I'll be speaking on both effects, right? So for the positive effects, grouping children based on their academic achievement can help the teacher now tailor instruction to the specific needs of those children. And it provides more individualized instruction. Now, the teacher knows that, okay, this group of pupils, I don't really have to spend much time with them because I know they know what to do, right? And this group of people, they require my utmost attention. I really need to pay close attention to these pupils because I know they are struggling, so they would need support, right? But at the same time, it has quite a number of negative effects. First and foremost, grouping children based solely on their academic ability discourages collaboration, to be honest. So you cannot just categorically say that, okay, I'm grouping you based only on your academic ability. You can group them based on their academic ability and non-academic ability. Then they are together. Now they collaborate and learn. So it's not just by the academic achievement of these pupils now. It's about their overall achievement, be it academic or non-academic achievements. And these children, they see, children learn by observation and imitation. They observe what you are doing and they imitate what you are doing. And you think they are not watching, but they're actually watching and they are learning. So when children see that, my teacher grouped this group of people and my teacher grouped it, so they know the ability of themselves in the class. They know these people are the high flyers and they know these people are the low flyers. So when they see 5 high flyers in a group and they see 5 low flyers in another, they'll be like, oh, my teacher is discriminating. So it brings about labeling and stigmatization. So these children, that's the low flyers in quote, are being stigmatized. They believe that, okay, my teacher favors this set of people. And they don't know that, okay, the teacher might be doing this to their own advantage so that the teacher can actually pay close attention. But they don't know that. They believe that, oh, because I'm not good, my teacher is grouping us, and this reduces their self-esteem. It makes them feel inferior. It makes them believe that I can amount to nothing in life. So it makes them feel that there is nothing I can do because my teacher has already seen that I cannot do anything. So they just do not want to try. They just do not want to improve because I've accepted my fate. Then that is what it is. So I don't agree that grouping them solely on academic ability is the right way, to be honest. You can group them both academic, non-academic, and they are together. So you know that those who have strength and those who have weaknesses in a particular area can collaborate and work together to achieve something good, right? But if it's not that way, then I think it has more negative effects than positive effects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Onuaha, I believe you've worked with the Lagos State government before, Ministry of Education. So I believe we can send out a statement that students, rather schools who do this shouldn't do it anymore so that the students don't feel stigmatized and there can be collaboration. Ms. Eliani, I saw that you're nodding in agreement. Are there some things you want to add to that?
I am not in agreement. No, I am. I am in agreement about the positives and the negatives. But like I couldn't, I couldn't find the perfect solution. So I'm in agreement about what the impact of that on students. But at the same time, I believe that students have the right to have the space that teach them based on their abilities and interests. And maybe we go back to the point that it should not be a selection based on the academic performance, but maybe actually on what they are interested in and what are the things that are passionate about and what they love. And maybe the solution can be in some cases, and that's like, there's no solution one size, it's not a one size fits all, but maybe in some schools it might be that they're giving for some courses special classes for those who maybe in some cases don't have the like they need special support. So in some cases, but not for the full day. In some cases, for specific topics, they can be in a specific room studying that something that is tailored for them. There's the one bottom line I want to say here is that it's actually what Esther mentioned about they don't know that what the teacher mean here or the school is meaning here, that maybe this is better for them. They will assume or they will think that this is a problem. Like they have a problem and that's why we are all here together. And I guess regardless what the school decides to do in whatever context, there is the main thing that should be done. You are not being judged based on your academic performance or based on the grade that is on the paper, because it's not supposed to be like this. We're not judging you here as a student. We're actually trying to help you learn better. And we're not trying to stigmatize you or make you feel that you are less. So it starts from, the starting point is actually students understanding that they are here to learn based on what they want and what they know. And then if they are in a specific class or not, they will be able to adapt. I don't know if I was able to articulate what I'm thinking of, but it's actually something specifically related to their well-being and their thinking. If we don't make them feel that they are judged in any way, then this won't be their first assumption if they are put in one class together. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I agree, and thank you for that. It would be a better fit if they are grouped according to their interest and passion, and not solely on their academic ability and performances. So finally, there are different strategies you've talked about in motivating and engaging young learners. Are there current trends? Because one thing I've observed the students right now is the fact there are different trends on social media that they jump on, different challenges. And one thing I've noticed is that if teachers take this strength into the classroom, it somehow stirs up the interest and the excitement of the students. So are there any other current trends, if integrated into teaching subjects, that will create a lasting experience for students? Mrs. Unoha, please.
Definitely, there are current trends when integrated into teaching subjects can actually create a lasting learning experience for the students. I'm going to focus on one or two. The first is assessment of learning. Teachers should be able to see assessment as a learning process, and also assessment also should be used to determine what children have been able to learn over a given period. And in doing this, it's important that teachers see assessment as help children to see assessment as fun, making assessment as simple as possible. Recall that when we were in school, if you're told you're going to write a test or exam, you see the anxiety, you see the tension around children. And so the current trend is that teachers should be able to make assessment as simple and as fun as possible. It means that teachers in carrying out assessment can even incorporate games, use games to carry out assessment. There are different educational games that teachers can actually work on in creating assessment for their children. We have the Kahoot, we have the Bingo, we have various types of games that, good games that teachers can actually use to assess their children. It's also important that teachers should realize that assessment is not just a test. It is not just a test. And that is why assessment, the objective assessment, is to be used for learning, to improve learning. And when teachers realize that this is what they should be doing in the classroom with children with regards to assessment, then it will help to make assessment as a process that could be used for observations, that could be list as a means of gathering data, information on each classroom regards to what these children have been able to acquire over a period of time.
Thank you very much, Onoaha. Ms. Esther, please, would you like to contribute to that? Current trend.
So I'd like I totally agree with what Mrs. Honora said. There's something called project-based learning, right? So project-based learning is more like a teaching method where children are being taught to work on projects that addresses a particular problem or a particular challenge. So I think incorporating that into teaching subjects can help children learn. It can help them think critically. It can help them be problem solvers. So because you are giving them projects for them to solve, projects that addresses a particular problem, maybe in the society, maybe in the community, maybe in the country at large, and they are able to work together to be able to prefer a solution to that challenging problem that you're giving to them. So I feel that project-based learning, if incorporated into our teaching subjects, will go a long way in creating a lasting learning experience for the students. And another thing is social-emotional learning. So we know in our social media of today, everybody has an opinion. We're all saying this, we're all saying that, and all that. But children too can be taught to have self-confidence. They can be taught to be self-aware. So there's something called life skills. So if children can be taught life skills like self-awareness, empathy, resilience, they can be functional members of society. They are not just learning 2+2, but they are learning emotional intelligence. They are learning how to comport themselves in public. They are learning how to understand people's feelings. They are learning how to talk when people are talking. So I feel that life skills should be added into the teaching subjects to create like a lasting learning experience for the students. Although quite a number of schools are doing that, quite a number of schools, but I feel if most schools are doing this, then the world will be a better place.
Thank you very much, Ms. Esther. I'm really very excited about the contributions that you brought to the table and this panel discussion today. There's a question here that says, can reward be considered a good way to achieve sustainable learning experience? I want Ms. Esther Eko to answer this because she's a practitioner in the classroom. So do you believe a reward can be considered a good way to achieve sustainable learning? Sustainable in emphasis on sustainable. Can reward be a good way to achieve that?
Okay, I'll give you a real life example in my classroom. So I used to be a strong believer of positive reinforcement. It can be rewards, right? So I used to be a very strong believer of positive reinforcement. So in my classroom, I created a reward corner. So that reward corner has different criteria. So in a week, I can be like, okay, this week, we are going to award a student who is punctual. In the next week, we are going to award a student who is well behaved and all that. So there's a particular day I gave them an assignment and I told them, okay, I was writing it on it, but now one of my peers asked me, Miss, okay, so I give stickers. So when you do well, I give you stickers. Then you go to where your name is and you place the sticker there. And I kept on doing that and doing that. So I think they got used to that. So they now believe that every good behavior exhibited will be rewarded. So one day I was writing on the whiteboard and my people told me, Esther, if I get everything, will I get a sticker? I told her, I'm not going to tell you that. Go home and do your assignment. Do you know what she told me? If I'm not going to get a sticker, then I will not get it right. She told me that boldly. I was like, wow. Then I withdrew my reward corner. Then I removed the reward corner from there. So most times, teachers should know when to reward positive behaviors and know when to withdraw. Because when these people get used to being rewarded at every good behavior exhibited, they will take it for granted, and which is not a very good. So I think that we shouldn't always reward, give positive reinforcement. We shouldn't make it predictable so they know that this is the criteria for this. So we should make it like it should be spontaneous. That's right. It should be spontaneous. They shouldn't always know that when you do this, you get this. So they should put in their best fruits, put in their best effort. Then it's left to the teacher to know if I'm going to reward you or not. So reward can not only be maybe stickers. You can even give them words of encouragement. Good job, you did. It shouldn't always be reward per se, but there are all other things that you can reward people on. So that's it. So we should know when to withdraw and when to use it.
Thank you very much. I hope the question has been answered by to the participant who asked the question. I have another question here, although it's somewhat already answered or partly answered. If grouping students based on academic performance could be mistaken for discrimination, is rewarding student performance with a prize at the end of term not having the same impact? Ms. Eliane, please take it.
I'm trying to find the question to read it again. Is it in the chat? So anyway, the question is about if grouping them could be seen as discrimination, right? Okay, and there was another part in the question, I didn't hear it, and I don't know if it's...
Let me take the question again. if grouping students based on academic performance could be mistaken for discrimination, is rewarding student performance with a prize at the end of term. And we have speech and prize giving day in Nigeria. So I think what the person is saying is rewarding student performance with a prize at the end of term not having the same impact.
Okay, like, to be very honest, yes, at least the student themselves can feel that they are being discriminated. If classes are divided based on, and the grouping is done based on their academic performance. But I will say I will repeat what I said a few minutes ago. It goes to the fact that if they feel that this environment is safe for them and they are not being judged in that space or not. Because let's take um, and here specifically about this question, I'm not saying that the answer I'm saying is the correct one, and I'm not saying that I found the answer. It's something I might change my mind in 5 years, so come back in 5 years and ask me again. But now at this minute, let's say if we're doing sports or dancing classes or music classes, students are divided in these classes based on their abilities. I'm not saying about in schools. I'm saying if you go to a music school, so based on what you know, you join a class and you go from there, right? So again, it's related to the fact if a student believe that their worth is related to their academic performance, and if you group them based on their academic performance, you're telling them that your grades define your worth, and that's the discrimination. And if this is eliminated, students will just be in the class that suits them better, and they will just accept it as they will accept it in a I don't know, swimming class based on their performance, or music class based on their performance. So it can be seen as discrimination, but this is because there is a discrimination before that point, which is your grades, and you're not your grades. You never are. You're never your grades. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I think what will help with that is proper communication as to the why, in the sense of informing the student as to why that is happening. So we would like to reward students who have put in the work, and it's also a means to encourage students to get to that point where they can put in the work and also be recognized for their efforts. I think communicating to students and pupils and letting them know the reason why this is done, so that it's not miscommunicated as segregation or discrimination or looking down on them in any way or form. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us this far. I want to say thank you to our panelists, Mrs. Onoha, Ms. Eliani, and Ms. Esther. We are very grateful for joining us in this panel discussion. Thank you very much for your contributions and everything you've said, your insights, your perspectives. We are very grateful. Over to you, Zinu.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I believe we've had an impactful session. I particularly learned a lot. I especially enjoyed the conversation about grouping children and ensuring that we are not promoting stigmatization with these kids in terms when we have to group them based off their academic achievement. There's something I also liked particularly that Esther spoke about, Miss Esther, where she discussed how it is important to understand a child's learning style, a child's learning language. So it is important to make sure that we know every child's love learning language just as much as we need to know a person's learning love language. So I would also like to thank our presenters and our panelists for giving us a really insightful section and discussion today. You can learn more about our work. Thank you so much, Miss Eliana. Thank you so much, Miss Esther, and thank you, Miss Onwoha, for giving us insightful experiences and sharing your experiences with us, and just, you know, walking us through some of your insightful knowledge. So we are happy to have you here, and we believe that everyone that joined the call today had a great time learning from you all. So thank you once again, and thank you. So moving on, I would like to invite you all to learn more about our work and our upcoming events. You can follow us on LinkedIn at TEP Center, and you can also follow us on Twitter at TEP Center, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram at TEP Center. So we are at TEP Center across all platforms, and it's very easy to locate us, TEP Center, and you can join our conversations and get to learn more about the work that we do, and also learn about our upcoming events. And if you also would like to collaborate with us, if you like to send us a message, and if you'd like to know more, have more information about the work that we do, you can check our website at www.tepcenter.com. And you can also email us at info@tepcenter.com. And to join our community, you can also subscribe to our mailing list. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll find the link to join our mailing list on in the chat box. And you can get to know when our next webinar will be coming up, and also all of our other exciting events. Thank you guys so much for today's session. I believe we have all learned a thing or two, and I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to host this. Thank you so much, Mufini, also for your insightful thoughts during the session. So I believe that will be all from us today. We see you next time. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. Thank you so much. Have a lovely time. Bye.